Welcome back to our live coverage. We all know that Donald Trump makes far more false claims and unscripted remarks than in a prepared speech like tonight's State of the Union. But there are still some key fact checks tonight. I want to go through them with you. The first, an apparent ad lib that had Trump contradicting himself. The president asserting he wants, quote, people to come into our country in the largest numbers ever, but legally. That's not actually his position. Separate from this debate over undocumented immigration, Trump backs a plan to cut legal immigration in half as well. Another quick fact check, Donald Trump claimed the price for illegal migration is, quote, increased crime and, quote, countless Americans murdered by undocumented immigrants. Now, federal data does reveal crimes committed by some of those immigrants, but not crimes that are, quote, countless. And given Trump's attempt to cast this crime risk by different groups on such a big night, we should note statistics reveal the violent crime rate is lower among immigrants than general rates in the U.S. Now, finally, Trump claimed the construction of a barrier near El Paso directly lowered the crime rate. This is something we've heard a lot about. It is a bit of a very common talking point on the right, but it happens to be false. El Paso actually saw the violent crime rate increase around 5% in the years before and after that barrier was erected. Now, we wanted you to know some of those facts. These are fact checks based, of course, on hard data. I want to share something else that we were just discussing before the break. Another moment that many people are pointing to tonight where Trump had it wrong. He seemed genuinely confused about whether all those Democratic women in white were literally cheering for him.
No one has benefited more from our thriving economy than women who have filled 58% of the newly created jobs last year. You weren't supposed to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Back with me, Mara Gay and Jason Johnson. And joining us, Republican strategist Susan Del Percio, also an MSNBC analyst. Mara, what happened there?
Oh, I think the president was mistaken. The women that he referenced, were not clapping for him. Mm-hmm. They were actually congratulating themselves on being elected by Americans who, I would say, the majority of whom want a check on Donald Trump. Yeah, and to build on the point, if you look at the footage we're looking at, it would be great if we saw that demonstration right there tonight, which is one of the most powerful images of the night, across the whole hall. Right? That's right. But only one woman was elected in the Republican caucus this year. A lot of this is not just women power, it is explicitly women against Trump. No, it absolutely is. And, listen, I want to bring up something else that happened that I think is really important, is that the president lied about what abortion laws that are, one is on the books in New York that the state legislature just passed, another one in Virginia, what those would do for abortion. I mean, the abortion bill in New York actually just brings the state of New York up to the standard that is set out in Roe v. Wade, which it creates an exemption that allows abortions after 24 weeks, when the health of the mother is at stake. That makes up, abortions later in pregnancy make up 1.3% of all abortions. But you're talking about the president jumping on that to hit a pro-life message. That's right. The president not just jumping on it to hit a pro-life message, but actually talking, I would say, really graphically about, a procedure that is a medical procedure between a woman and her doctor that is done to prevent suffering in the case of fetal abnormalities, or to protect the life and health of a woman. And he's not giving medically accurate information. He's using scare tactics, and he's not being honest about what's in those pieces of legislation. One other piece to all this, Susan, was that he was addressing a hall full of people who want to run for his job. Now, that's not specific to the Trump era. That's something that happens in Congress, and very rarely do the American people choose the member of Congress. Any other choice they tend to go for. But take a listen to Amy Klobuchar speaking to our own Rachel Maddow earlier tonight, confirming essentially she's about to roll out a decision, whatever it may be. Take a look.
Senator, in terms of rising to the challenges of the day, you have said that you are considering, you're thinking about a run for president. Today, Politico.com reported that you are headed to Iowa later this month, and home state paper Minnesota has also reported that a staffer of yours has applied for an event permit in Minneapolis this weekend. And those are the sorts of tea leaves we have been trying to read about your own future.
That is called investigative reporting.
Yeah,
so here, Rachel, you have been asking me this.
I am asking
you have been asking me this forever.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sunday, come to Boom Island in Minneapolis, as in Boom Island, drop the mic, and then you'll find out. It's going to be a little cold, 20 degrees. Wear warm clothes. Maybe have, you know, little heat warmers with you. But then you'll find out my decision.
On Sunday, Boom Island in Minneapolis, you are going to announce your decision.
I am. We've had so many discussions about this, so I thought, well, here you go.
Well,
that's the moment.
Thank you. I've been trying to pry this out of you for years.
A lot of energy there. I don't feel like it's a big secret. Susan,
you typically don't ask people to show up somewhere in 20-degree weather to say I'm not running.
Right, to give a Sherman-esque statement. Walk us through the Republican side here as they look at a large field of people running against Trump, and many of them women, which is unusual.
Yeah, and it's interesting after what the Republicans went through in 2016, having a stage of 17 candidates. I think looking at the Democratic, there's a lot of choices out there, and it's a question of, I think, who will fit what lanes. I don't think you'll actually have 20 candidates with 20 separate lanes. You're going to see them merging and coming together. I think it's wise that if you're going to announce, you do it quickly at this point, because you have to show that you can also raise money. So if you're not seeing announcements by the second week of February, you're probably not going to see them until April 1st when the reporting quarter is finished. So,
do you think Democrats have to worry about what the Republican establishment learned very quickly, which is that a huge field against what is known formally as an attention monster like Donald Trump actually has a real challenge, and to underestimate him at your peril?
It absolutely does, because unlike 2016, you didn't have someone taking away President Obama taking away the news coverage every single day from President Trump or from or those within the primary. President Trump now is going to play in the Democratic primary. There's little doubt, in my opinion. He's going to jump on everything he can. It'll be a great deflection from his failed policies. And why not go there? Because it helps give red meat to his base. And frankly, it makes sense for him to do it. The question I want to have is, how do the Democrats respond to it? And are they able to resist some of the baiting?
Yeah. Well, I got to fit in a break. My thanks to you. The headliner of the night,